Kenny here with Gardening Simplified. It's April 25th, and we're out here harvesting onions, and we're going to do a little talking about it. And if you look, we've already started, and we have a lot of big onions. Now, with this bad winter that we had, we ended up coming in here, and you can see down here, these smaller ones, we replanted a lot of this row so it wouldn't be wasted. And now we'll have to determine whether we want to let these try to bulb up or just pick them as green onions. And we'll figure out that somewhere along the line. But what we're going to do is we're going to continue picking these. Now, when you pick onions, you normally wait for the tops to fall over. Now, these onions here, the tops are real soft, and they could go a little while longer, but they're plenty big enough for us. And when you get an onion like this, you can see this top, you can see it's mushy like. You won't have a big onion with a big top won't fall over like the other one. So it'll virtually have to be completely dried out in order to figure on it falling over. But anyway, we're going to pick the rest of this row, get these out, and we're going to move on to some of these other ones. Now, we got a few onions here from this row. But one thing I want to stress about onions, now we're going to cure all these out, and a lot of these will freeze dry. But if you're wanting some fresh onions and you're going to store them for a long time, what you want to do is you want to choose your onion to be selective about them. Now, this onion might not be as big as some of these others, but this onion is going to store a whole lot longer than this onion. And the reason why is onions that have fat necks like this, they tend to hold more water, and they tend to spoil quicker. So we'll make sure that if we're going to keep any for slicing up and eating fresh, we'll keep the ones that have the smaller necks. These bigger ones we'll chop up and freeze dry. Now we're going to get these inside. That's one row, and you can see how many onions were left. Now, if this cold weather hadn't have damaged them, we'd have not quite twice, but pretty close to twice as many off this one row. But let's get these in there so we can prepare to cure them out. And once we get them inside the shop here, we always just put ours on the floor. Now, you could put them on a wire rack or something like that, but we do it this way, and then we put a fan at the end of it, so the air will blow across here and keep the moisture out as it warms up during the day. It keeps the moisture out, and it'll take and cure them out pretty quick, because you want to make sure that you just don't pile these up with no air movement, because then what will happen is the tops will start rotting. And that's our one load there. We've about got them down. And I believe, and I had to do some checking, but I think this was Red Creole was the variety. The white ones, original ones, were white Granos, and I think it's a Texas sweet white Grano. But the red ones, like I say, they were Red Creole, I believe, and that's about a 3 to 4 inch onion. But there's a lot of them that's bigger than that, 4.5, 5 inch, and then there's some that's smaller. But anyway, let's get after the rest of them. Now, this next row that we're going to be doing, which is not a full row because it has some leak up at the top, but this one suffered quite a bit of damage during the 9-degree freeze. And that's in turn part of why these tops are so big. But it didn't affect, we do have some big onions. Of course, you always want to pull out the biggest one. Now, this here is probably 6 inches or so. It's definitely a good size onion, but we don't grow them so much for size. Size is good, but we try to grow them at a size that they'll store good, because now we do freeze dry a lot so that it'll keep them preserved for a longer time. But there's always times when you want to slice an onion, and that's where the ones that store longer come in handy. Now, as you can see, this row here, there are a lot of onions still left in it, even though it wasn't a full row, because we lost quite a few. So let's see what we ended up with off of there. And we did pick a few over here. Now, we had one onion that was rotted, but the rest were good, and we pulled a few out of here that was really bulbing up big. And you can see we got another wheelbarrow load, so let me get these in there. Okay, got a few more there. That's quite a few. Our biggest one so far is this one right down there, and it's 5 inches. And the 5-inch onion is a big onion. Now, this row was a bunch of extra onions that we were going to grow for green onions. And as you can see, these were planted in here close, about 3 inches apart. But don't think these onions wouldn't want to grow. Now, this is an okay sized onion. I mean, it's not big, but it is an onion. Now, these were intended to be pulled out, but the problem was we didn't know how many onions we'd have survive, so we didn't mess with them. These were planted later, so they were a lot smaller, and the freeze didn't bother them quite as bad. Okay, we got another wheelbarrow load out of there, and it doesn't look like too many's out of there, so there's still quite a few onions. Of course, the ones that were planted later will be later, and some of these might just end up bolting. We'll just have to see. Okay, we got all these done up, and that's quite a bit of onions. We still have one row left, but it sprinkled just a little bit while ago. We were trying to beat all the rain because it's supposed to rain tomorrow. They will keep. They're not that far long. But this is an 11 by 7 tarp. Give you an idea of how many onions there are. And it's so pretty with the different colors. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. You want to see more, you know what to do. Enjoy that gardening experience. And for all of you that didn't stick around to the very end, we went ahead and come out here and harvested what white onions were ready. And of course it wasn't a whole lot, but need to get them out. These were some that were pre-freeze. Most of the other ones were planted after the freeze, so we'll harvest them later. Thanks for watching.